All right, welcome everybody. Once again, David Thomas, Mr. J Woolwine with me. We're going to be shooting your Tuesday dose of motivation, inspiration, and education, as we always do at this time around 4 p.m. Eastern every Tuesday. So hopefully you get a lot of value out of this. And as I say every week, you probably can say this speech better than I can. Sometimes we talk about trading mindset. Sometimes we talk about personal development. And today's, an interesting one. It's personal development. And we're going to be talking about emotional intelligence. All right. So we've been talking a little bit about emotional intelligence lately, and especially kind of how underrated it is in most places. It doesn't matter whether you're in a trading community, a workplace, an extracurricular activity. People, they get hung up on, people's credentials, people's titles, people's skills, but if you can't manage your emotions or connect with people, eventually you're going to hit a wall, right? I have seen incredibly smart people fail to lead effectively because they couldn't read the room, right? Or they couldn't handle feedback, right? They couldn't be handled telling they were wrong or something needed to change or whatever, right? Emotional intelligence or EQ, it's nice to have but it's not just nice to have. It's foundational for leadership. It's foundational for relationships, and it's ideal if you're under pressure. It's awesome for making decisions when you're, on that in that crunch.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of funny. I used to think that emotional intelligence was just about being sensitive or nice, right?
Right.
But the more I learn, the more I realize it's actually a skill set, right? And self-awareness, that self-regulation, being empathetic, social skills, those are the little things that make or break somebody in real life, right? And you can teach somebody how to write a code or create a marketing campaign or teach them to trade, right? But teaching somebody to control their temper, right? Or to listen or to be patient or manage a team dynamic, right? That's a lot harder, right? And yet those are the people who move up and make a difference.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, one thing that really opened my eyes when realizing how emotional intelligence affects stress management, like how when something goes wrong, someone with low emotional intelligence might panic, right? They're going to blame others, immediately shut down. But someone with high emotional intelligence can pause, reflect, and respond to the situation, address the situation instead of reacting, right? That knee-jerk reaction. That change alone can, make the outcome like night and day. The outcome of a meeting or a project, it can just actually totally change the outcome of it for the better. It's like having internal tools that'll keep you from spiraling out of control. And it's not just about avoiding breakdowns, obviously. It's about creating a steady, focused energy that people around you they can trust.
And if you think about how that plays into conflict resolution too, right? People with high EQ don't avoid conflict, they navigate it, right? And they show you how to express disagreement or being unhappy without escalating tension, right? How to manage your temper, right? And they can read the subtle cues like somebody getting defensive or withdrawing, body language, and then they can shift their approach. And that ability to tune in not just to your own feelings, but to others, builds trust fast, right? And I've been in rooms where one emotionally intelligent person can completely shift the mood just by staying calm and listening well, right? It's super powerful.
Yeah. What's also interesting is how early this stuff starts. At schools, we teach math, science, history, which, they have their place, right? But how much time do we teach kids, or how much time do we spend teaching kids to recognize emotions, right? Deal with disappointment, speak with empathy to someone else. Emotional intelligence, it affects everything from, the bully in the playground to burning out, right? It affects many things, and yet we act, right? We act like it's something that you either have or you don't have. But the good news is you can learn it. It's teachable, right? I've seen people grow in this area tremendously, right? It's just slowing down enough to learn and reflect. It's not fixed, it's a muscle. You have to work it out in order for it to grow.
Right, totally. And that's the part that gets me excited, right? Because if it's a muscle, we can all get stronger, right? That means better workplaces, better families, better communities. I think that we're finally at a point where EQ is being seen not as soft, right? But as strategic, right? CEOs are hiring for it, right? Teams are evaluating it, leaders are being trained in it. And it's no longer a side note, right? It's becoming a core skill. And honestly, it just makes life richer. You can connect better, you handle setbacks better, you lead with more integrity, and what's not to love about that?
Yeah, well said. And honestly, if I could go back and I could give my younger self, some advice, it wouldn't necessarily be work harder or study more, or invest in Bitcoin early, those kind of things. Actually, I might do that.
Yeah,
But
maybe.
but it's really, all of those things, financial, give yourself like the who's going to win the World Series, Back to the Future. But all of that potential is in learning how to understand yourself and other people. So I would tell myself, learn to understand yourself, learn to understand other people, because when you do that, everything around you starts falling into place. Why? Because we're in the people, you don't realize it. No matter what job you are, no matter where you are in the people business. All right. If you have kids, you're in the people business. If you are at work, you're in the people business. If you're building a team, you're in the people business, right? Your relationships improve, your leadership gets sharper, your sense of purpose will deepen. And that's why emotional intelligence, it matters a lot because it's not just about doing more, it's about becoming someone people trust, who they follow, and they respect. And they know that you're going to do the same for them. All right. So hope you get value out of it. It's a different topic. You don't hear a lot about emotional intelligence, but it's something that is it's a good asset to have for sure. All right. So hope you get value out of this. God bless. We appreciate you for watching as always, and take care. We'll see you back next week.
See you guys.